So here is a little pip of a follow-up to the INFJ differentiator series I did about a month ago. There was a comment left early on under the, I think it was, number 4, by a certain INFJ, Andrea Bowen, that was just as usual with, most of the INFJ comments. They're really fantastic. When they bother to comment, it's paragraphs and paragraphs, and it's very well written, and it's very well considered, and it's very detailed, and it's very interesting. It's great. Anyway, hers was really, even by the usual INFJ standards, it was epic. And it had all kinds of interesting consciousness information in it. But one thing that the way she started it off in commenting about this, tendency to organization of affairs. That's a lot of INFJs, to a greater extent than most of the Ps, are sort of driven to enact. What she said, it made me laugh and laugh, and it's making me laugh now thinking about it. She said, yeah, organized in our own way, in bold. And man, oh man, have I found that to be true. This is a really slippery concept, but it's worth making because I've just seen so much of it, and it's really, really funny. To an extent, part of the reason I think I get so many comments from INFJs about what I describe about their behavioralisms is because, well, first of all, I have a lot of INFJs in my viewership. And another reason, though, is that they really can be, forgiven is the wrong word, but it's understandable why a lot of them feel compelled to pipe up with, yeah, but I don't really do that, or I don't really see that, or we're not that, and especially about the tidiness thing. Lots of objections to that. And also under my video, my positive ID video about spotting INJs in the wild, in which I never said, I explicitly said in the video that what I'm describing, this phenomenon I'm describing, is the minority look for the INFJs, minority one, and that what I was doing in that video was to say that when I see this collection of things together, when I see this pattern, this is what it almost certainly means. I was never trying to say, and I discounted every which way I could in the video, but people didn't hear it. Some people did, but a lot of people didn't. What I was not trying to say is, this is a category of a type, and they always do this, or 80% of the time, this is how they do what they do. No, they don't. Most of the INJs do not have environments that are and apparel and outfits all the time that are absolutely immaculate in how they're put together and arranged and maintained. They don't. So anyway, sorry. Side note. Back to the INFJs doing something, but in their own way. One of the things that all the many INFJs I've come in contact with, many of them I know very well, have in common is what they don't have in common, and that is all of the INFJs, you all do you do weird little things. You do weird little things that are surprising, and that I notice, because again, that's what I do, is I notice what's unusual in the environment. That's my my dominant NE as an ENFP. It's focused on people. It's focused on looking around and making meaning of the patterns that I see in the environment. So I will see it. And with so many INFJs around or coming through, or just being in my life, I see stuff. And something I definitely see is, yeah, it's true. None of you, you're all very distinct individuals, very much so. And you do things very differently. And there's a huge range of variability in any of these sort of cognitive behavioral trends. I never just talk about behavioral trends, because that would be stupid. And make no sense and fly in the face of what either the Jungian typology or Myers-Briggs temperament indicator theory is about and what it's supposed to be doing. And it would also be unethical. It would just be a bad idea. So I do not do that. But I do talk about cognitive behavioral trends that I see, or that I think I see. and I'm very interested in what the feedback people have about it. But INFJs, but all of the INFJs, they do weird little things that nobody else does, including the other INFJs. So yes, they do. So when I'm talking about cognitive behavioralisms, like a tendency to have a fondness, an aptitude eventually, if it's developed over time, the cognitive processes associated with their type, to go be good at closure and to seek it more readily and quickly and with more urgency than most of the people of the perceiving types. But the way you guys all, so again, tendency to greater organization versus most of the people who are of the perceiving types. But maybe less so. Yeah, I certainly have seen that. Maybe less so than a lot of the other judging types. Overall, that's the trend, which is all I'm ever trying to talk about. Okay. But yeah, you'll do these weird little things, but you will organize things a bit more than most of the Ps. You will be tidier more of the time for longer periods of the time overall over time than most of the people of the perceiving types. But but it is true that the way you do it is probably going to be very idiosyncratic in a few striking, at least a few striking ways. And it's going to be unorthodox. It's not going to be by the book. Sometimes if it works, you'll do that. Same thing with the INTJs. Like if the by the book method is what really works and it's the most effective and it works for you and it just works for whatever you're trying to accomplish in a group or an org, then you're not averse to doing that. But when it comes to things, your preferences and the little things that you like to do for yourself that just concern you and your stuff and your activities, then you're going to do it in probably in some ways in a very unusual way. Here's just one tiny little example of that. So anyway, Andrea Bowen, I had to laugh. I had to laugh when you said that because I knew exactly what you meant right away, having seen so much of it. And I have coming up soon in I'm going to finally give you guys something for my that series I proposed last summer, Exhibit J and True Perceiver. I just had guests recently, and one of whom is a strongly suspected INFJ. Very strongly suspected after discussion about it, blah, 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 an observation. So, suspected. But anyway, I'll show you some evidence of environmental stuff with those guys. But this alleged INFJ did the weirdest frickin' thing, and I never got a chance to ask her why she did this. I have no idea why she did this, but I just thought this was hilarious, and I just added it to the pile, this very large pile I had going of clues and hints and possible indicators that INFJ might be the type for her, and there were many of them. And what she said, how she said it, how she moved around, what her stuff was, on and on and on and on, and things that she does. And within 10 minutes of her arriving with her friend at the apartment, I thought I was going crazy because I looked over. And again, I know this is like a set. This is like a theater set in my apartment. It may be cluttery and whatever, but I have some awareness of like where things are and how they're used and so on. And having shared my place with so many people, it's always fascinating to see how different people interact with this more or less same environment differently. And this was a new one. This is something I have never seen done by the alleged INFJ. So they came in and I sort of glanced into one of the rooms, because the doors are still open. They just arrived, dropped their bags. And I thought I was going crazy because I saw in one room a wastebasket that was totally different looking from what's usually there. And it's not what is in there. It's not what I put there. It's not what lives there. And for a moment, I just had this, again, says something about me. But I was like, am I losing my mind? I'm like, is it mad? Like what? I was absolutely amazed and just completely befuddled and bewildered for a moment about like, what in the hell is that doing there? Then I recognized it as the wastebasket for the other guest room that had been taken by the alleged INFJ. Apparently the INFJ, within like minutes of arriving, had decided, for reasons unknown, completely unknown, I can't even guess, feng shui, just a feeling, I don't know. But she had seen fit to do something that none of my hundreds of other guests have ever done. I've never heard of taking the wastebasket for her room and then just doing a switcheroo with the other room. Don't know why. No idea at all. But it was really fucking strange. And that is just one teeny tiny example of like the kind of stuff that I find INFJs do. They just have their methods for how they put their makeup on, or like where they organize, where they store their, tools, or like whatever it is. They've got very idiosyncratic systems for doing certain things and storing certain things. And it's really amusing. So that's all I have to say about that.